Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy. Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Welcome back everybody to my weekly comic book review. I hope you are all having a blessed day. Some people are struggling out there and it can be tough. So please take time to say hello, to do what it takes to lend a kind ear, because you never know what others are going through. With that said, let's walk into the comic shop, the virtual one, and let's talk about some comics. I didn't read a lot this particular week. I'm going to say it's been a rough week for me. I read the Red Hulk issue number 3. It had 99 ratings and a very positive score. And I gave the book a positive score too, with an 8. The writer is Benjamin Percy. Artist is Jeff Shaw. Anyway, we have the team that escaped, hunted by Doom. Yeah, Machine Man, Deathlock, Red Hulk, and some douche that ends up causing more trouble than good. They're trying to get the Red Hulk to get to a power plant, if you will, so that he can rejuvenate his energy, his radiation energy, and become the Red Hulk again. So Ross is struggling here, but he's using all of his skills. Can they survive while being chased down by Doombots? I thought this book had decent art, interesting story, and interesting cast of characters. I like this particular group. I mean, that Simon Riker, boy, what a dick move he does in this book. The writer does a good job displaying Thunderbolt Ross's smarts as well. I'm really enjoying this unusual team. But let's look at what some other people said, shall we? Here's a 3-star view. This was such a good issue as we see 3 of them face off against the giant monster Doom and the threat he possesses, and how they make their escape from Laviteria. And it's such a cool series of events. And will Ross get the radiation again to become Red Hulk or not? It's going to be an interesting next issue. Yet they only gave it a 3. But okay. Maybe they're like me. They grade a little hard. Let's look at this one. It's 4.5 stars. I won't lie. I'm not a Ben Percy fan, really. But he is cooking on this. Art is awesome as well. Won't spoil anything other than Ross still has no mustache hair. Solid issue. Let's go with the 5-star. It's really just a fun book. Benjamin Percy is doing a good job at that. Another one, 4 stars. This series continues to be fun. So if you're ever checking this one out, this might be one that you should check out. It's pretty interesting and I would recommend it. The next issue I want to talk about is Thunderbolts Doomstrike issue number 3 with 81 ratings and a 3.6 mostly positive score. And I gave the book not as high, but I gave it a strong 7.2. And we have the writer Jackson Lansing and writer Colin Kelly and artist Tommaso Beccini. Well, anyway, lightning strikes twice. You know that old tale with Thunderbolts and us is not going to match what you would see in the movie, though they're trying to take a little bit of, the thunder from that, if you will. Pun intended. Yeah. Ha ha. Oh, okay. Well, we have Bucky, Songbird, Sharon Carter, and the Midnight Angels launch into a daring plan to target Dr. Doom's supply of vibranium. But unfortunately, things don't go as planned. It's an interesting story. Good fight in this. Decent art, good characterization for most part, but sometimes it is a little off though, especially in my opinion with the Atlas character, because we have some of the older classic Thunderbolts sort of getting manipulated, believing they're doing the right thing, fighting this current incarnation of Thunderbolts, which I don't like. I know Atlas wasn't the smartest guy, but boy, they make him out to be a complete dummy in this issue. Well, anyway, reviews. I see a 5-star here. Let's go to a 4-star review. It's just nice to see the original Thunderbolts for a change. Boy, I agree with that. I thought it was a crappy insinuation that Atlas was so stupid to pass an Avenger, that he couldn't pass an Avengers test. Yes, I agree with that. They made him out to be like the biggest idiot here. He would kick most of their butts. I could name a few Avengers he would do better on that test than them. The original Thunderbolts are still the best. And I agree. They really, that was my knock on that for that characterization, making him out to be a complete idiot. A 3-star one's is pretty solid issue, all things considered. I always appreciate getting some actual Thunderbolts in Thunderbolts books nowadays. And he laughed. Ending is definitely the most intriguing part of it, though. And another one, 4 stars. But when you fly with the Midnight Angels, it is through unconquered skies. Well, that was pretty right to the point one here. 3-star review. Wasn't blown away by this and by any means, but it's a decent book for sure. And a 4-star review. Such a fun series. Yeah. So another person said, keep Kelly and Lansing as far away as Wakanda as possible. I'm actually somewhat excited for this series. Anything Bucky related, surprisingly good from Hive Mind. So, as you see, it's not doing too bad in people's thoughts, and with 81 reviews, it's probably selling mediocre. So we'll continue to see how well this book does. I'm sure they just plan it to be a mini-series anyway, or that's what they'll say when they cancel it. Because that seems to be Marvel's new thing. Run a series for a few issues and cancel it, and they're not even trying to hide that. Because, I mean, what confidence does that give the comic book retailers to stock these books? That's just shameful. The next book I want to talk about was The Ultimate Spider-Man number 16 with 895 ratings with a 4.6 exceptional score. Marvel still needs to learn from this and apply this to the Amazing Spider-Man book, because boy, are they missing the mark on this one. I give the book a 7.3, not as high as they did, but I have some reasons for it. And I mean, as I think about it, I might have been too hard on it. But anyway, we have the writer Jonathan Hickman and artist Marco Cicchetto. And I found that this book, we get Gwen being a Mysterio, part of like a group of Mysterios, and dealing with the timeline. And I will say, I called it. I called it last time I reviewed last Ultimate Spider-Man issue. Harry is not dead. It was a Mysterio trick to make him appear dead. It was a decent issue, but here's a big kicker I have. Gwen is the new Mysterio. Why in a Spider-Man book or any hero book just about right now that every background of supporting character has to be a superhero now? Why? Why do we have to? Now, I get this is the Ultimate Universe, so I will give it some leeway. So I was probably too hard on grading it for that regard. But it just, when everybody's a hero, nobody's special. So that's what we get here. We get a lot of background issue here. And details on Gwen and how she became a Mysterio, if you will. But, let's check what some other people thought about this. Because, as I said, maybe I'm a little harsh on it in comparison to others, which, I tend to be. Now, this one's real long, so I'm not going to read all of it, but it is a 5-star review. It says another mouth and another banger issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. I think a month I meant to say, by the way. Another mouth. No time to waste, so I'll just get into it. A lot of things people predicted turned out to be true. If you know, you know. That's what I told already. And there's so much more to it than that. But first, the art. They like it. Okay, good enough. I'm not going to read every little bit there. Now, onto the story. This is a Gwen-focused issue, and my goodness, Hickman continues to deliver on the character work, really fleshing her out and showing us why she's the way she is for her deeper motivations. And I agree, definitely did that in this regard. Let's read another review that's not as high. Let's give it a 4-star here. I hate issues like this so much, not because it's bar, but it's quite the opposite. Issues like this prove that Hickman does know what he's doing. This is the best issue since issue number 10. And honestly, it's probably because there's no actually screen time for Peter and MJ. Once again, I'm reading it as what it's on there. Taking a star off only because it's so darn predictable. I guess everybody thought the same thing. It was just so predictable that, that he's not going to be dead. I'm looking for a lower star review here, but boy, I'm getting lots of 4s and 5s. It is really hard to find a review that's not giving it a great set. Great one. Here we go. This one is a 3.5 star. Chichetto's back. The art is great here. In this issue, we learn about who Mysterio is. I kind of guessed this ahead of time, so it was cool seeing it explained and to see how a couple of things weren't exactly how I'd guessed. I don't want to go further because the whole issue is a bit of a twist that could spoil people. Well, I've already spoiled it. If you aren't reading this series, my question is why are you not? Unless you're not a Spier-Man fan. If you're any kind of Spier-Man fan at all, this is the Spier-Man book to read. And the last book I want to talk about today, yeah, it's the only DC book I read. It was Batman Superman World's Finest Annual #1 for 2025. It had 255 ratings with a 3.7 mostly positive score, and I gave it a 7.3. I'm not a big fan of annuals. I've mentioned that before. I don't usually care to get them. Mark Waid wrote a story. Christopher Cantwell wrote a story. The art is done by Dan McCade. And, well, what do we get? We get 2 stories here. We get one, though, that's a continuation from the We Are Yesterday. It's part 3. That's why I got this. It's because not because of, of any other reason. I just realized if I didn't get that, I'd be missing part of this story, which is interesting. I think this is an interesting story with mediocre art. It's okay, but it's a fun story. And I'm talking about the first story in here too, where we get a continuation of the Legion of Doom, the new version of them, which is from the past, and how they're being controlled and things by Grodd. When I say controlled, he's not mind control. He's trying to keep them all working together, and we see some dysfunction there, but that's pretty cool. Ultimately, that's a good story. And the second story is a good look into John Stewart. We get more John Stewart story here and how he became a Green Lantern, how he adapted to it, more about his sister, and it's got some pretty good art. So overall, I enjoyed this. I've been enjoying World's Finest in spite of the author of that. And with that said, that's the books I read. What did you read? What should I have read? Let me know your thoughts. Share them below because I would really like to know. I would give you more about, you know what? Before I leave, though, let's do that. I almost forgot. Let's talk about a couple of these other reviews. Yeah, let's do that. How did I skip that? Here is a 2-star review. Gosh, I feel like a real downer here, but I simply didn't like this. I didn't exactly dislike it either, but it's just so underwhelming. So point A, we're really benching Cheetah. Oh yeah, in this book, Cheetah gets benched. What they do is they mind control her, make her take the fall, wipe her brain, wipe everybody's memory out of what happened, and leave her as the fall guy, so that the villains can get away and people don't understand what's really going on. Point B, the sort of hate the characterization of the Legion of Doom here. Yeah, see, the reason why I was initially excited for this crossover was the concept of the Silver Age villains finding the modern heroes, by which I meant the Silver Age villains in character. There's no puns, no fun, yet outlandish gimmicky weapons. That's an interesting thing. They didn't really go into the gimmicky kind of goofiness there as much as maybe Wade could have. Point C, speaking of characterization, but this time more specific, I dislike the way Cheetah and Len were written. I can't fully explain it. They did put Cheetah's pretty dumb or not with it, and the heroes don't treat her as she's very smart either. So okay, I get that. And point D, I really don't like this new John Stewart backstory. Oh, okay. That's not to say the original one was perfect, but it had some genuine guts. Where's the power of the no mask scene? Where's the part where a racist politician tries to make himself look better and John immediately pings it? Let us know him as principled and very clever. Where's John Stewart, the architect? It's okay to let Hal mess it up too. Why is it only this book, who claims to love the Silver and Bronze Age, claims to want to make it better while honoring its spirit? Okay, yeah, some decent thoughts there. And point E, this is purely one up to taste, but I don't love the art style. I tend to agree. I didn't love the art style as well. So there we go. I wanted to share one that maybe is a little more harsh to be a little fair. Sorry, I was about to end it, and then I threw a little bit more in, but I thought, why not, right? All right, everybody, thank you. Take care, and try to bless somebody, because I'm telling you, some people out there are having a hard time. I know I am right now. Experiencing some pretty rough stuff. I don't want to go into details of it right now. I might later, but just to say it's haunting me pretty good. All right, everybody, take care, and I hope you have a blessed day. Until next time, keep it frugal.